So here's how it started. On Watch What Happens Live on Sunday night, a viewer asked a question about why Marlo made fun of Drew's body when she herself has had lipo. And this is what Marlo had to say.
Um, well, because Drew has Drop It by Drew, which is for
Okay.
your body. And I feel if you have a Drop It by Drew or body consultant business, your body should be banging. She should go get lipo.
Now, is this body shaming or do you feel like Marlo has a point? Let us know in the comment section down below. And now check out the sponsor of today's video.
Today's video is sponsored by Green Chef. Now, y'all know the news has been really popping lately, and I haven't had a whole lot of time on my hands. But Green Chef is helping me eat clean and live a healthy lifestyle with quality food that tastes good. All the food comes well organized in these nice little kits, which is super convenient. They send nutritionist approved recipes that are not only good for you, but packed with flavor. So I don't have to worry about meal planning or grocery shopping. The ingredients come pre-portioned, pre-chopped, sauces pre-made in-house. It cannot get much easier than that. I feel like now I can prioritize my health, get a quality dinner on the table every night in about 25 minutes or less. And every Green Chef customer gets a free session with a nutritionist. So sign up today using my code RichieSkye50 to get 50% off plus free shipping. Go to greenchef.com for more details. Again, that's my code RichieSkye50 to get 50% off plus free shipping. Go to greenchef.com for all the details.
And so now let's talk about how it's going, since we talked about how it started. All right, so Marlo said that, but Drew said this. She says, I'm sitting here in disbelief that Marlo Hampton would attack me by body shaming and attacking my weight at this crucial time in my life. Being a parent, going through a public divorce, public humiliation, and just dealing with stressful emotional issues. Clearly attacking me won't get you very far. If you feel this way about me at this size, I can only imagine what you think about women of all sizes who have weight challenges, issues, or eating disorders due to comments like yours. All I can say is shame on you, Marlo. Drew. Now, what do you make of her response? Because to me, I think her response is, I mean, there's so many nuances to this response that I don't even know if I have time to break it all down. But you know, the question was asked, and Marlo responded, and there you have it. You know, Marlo and Drew have been throwing jabs at each other for quite some time this season, whether they be subtle or whether they be direct. For instance, let's talk about the response that Marlo gives. And again, shout out to Queens of Bravo for this tea. Okay. Um, Marlo's response was this. Drew Sidor, you have gone around stating bold-faced lies about me for almost a year now. Anyone who knows me knows how anti stuff I am. Because remember when in the past episode, not this past week, but last week's episode, Drew asked if Marlo would pass a stuff test. Now, stuff, I'm using an alternate word because we are on the YouTube and we do want to keep it family friendly. So this is in response to that. And I wonder at the time where that came from when Drew said it, right? Because the implication there is that she wouldn't pass a stuff test, almost seeming to insinuate, allegedly, that Marlo was on some type of stuff so that she wouldn't pass a stuff test. Okay. So Marlo is saying so many members of my family suffer from this type of abuse issues today. When I was a child, I vowed to stay away from those things. I hardly like taking pain medications after getting dental work done. I have watched you assassinate my character all season. Your words have been absolutely disgusting to and about me this past year. Stop it. I laughed to mask the pain. Now, I do feel like both of them kind of put on just a wee bit. Marlo with the I laugh to mask the pain. Drew in the dramatics with, the public humiliation of it all, and dealing with stressful and emotional issues and such. I feel like both of them are giving a little dramatics, but I mean, it's Housewives. That's what we live for, okay? The dramatics of it all. So let me know in the chatterization whose side you are on in this debacle between Marlo and Drew. Do you think that Drew is in the right, or do you think that Marlo is in the right for clapping back and having her own responses to some of the things that Drew has been saying about her? Chime down in the chatterization down below. Okay. So now, listen, Queens of Bravo had it popping today. Okay. Because another thing that was posted was some clips or some highlights from David Yontef's Behind the Velvet Rope, where Courtney Rhodes, who is, of course, the new friend of, had some things to say about Kenya Moore, okay? And she is spilling all of the Kenya Moore tea, all right? So let's talk about it. All right. One of the first things that she says that caught the attention of, Queens of Bravo was that Courtney said the way Kenya speaks to production makes me uncomfortable. In Alabama, the lighting wasn't bright enough for her, and she just tore into this young lady on production, and I was mortified. That ish was not cool. Now, in all fairness, I have to be honest with you. I will say that I have heard that Kenya Moore can be very stern and ultra direct with giving instruction to people who work in her orbit. Okay. That's what I've heard personally. I'm not going to assign a character type to that, but we've also seen Kenya on the show really go in on some of the people that work with her. And so now this makes me go back and think about, while I don't believe that it was right to do, Marlo now going back to report what Kenya may have been saying about her au pair when, I'm assuming, the au pair forgot to pick up Brooklyn from school. I would assume that Kenya was maybe upset in that moment. So I kind of wonder if these are the things that, like, the Courtneys and the Marlos are talking about when they say that Kenya is a mean girl, right? So I myself have to tell you that I am very, very particular about the way in which people speak to people who work for them, right? And the way people the way people speak to servers, flight attendants, I'm very observant of that. And when I notice that is a huge turn off for me. Okay. Now, I can't speak to what may have happened prior to in that situation for Kenya, because I have to also acknowledge the fact that, sometimes women get it harder for being direct than men, right? So is this one of those situations where Kenya is asserting herself in a way that says, hey, listen, this is what I am requiring? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. It's a hard line for me to walk because I try to look at these situations from a global view as much as I can, and also present the situation from a global perspective. But off the rip, reading this, I don't like what I'm reading, right? And it does job with some things that we've seen on the show and some things that I have personally heard. Now, Courtney on Kenya's fall. She says, I think you saw nobody rushed up to check on her. And I think that speaks volumes to how people genuinely feel about her. It was obvious that Kenya was okay because what you didn't see was she was cursing production out. She had this low bounce. Now, I don't know what the low bounce is. I still do not agree with this idea that this fall, being the karma or anything like that, mostly because I don't know, it just looked bad. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why one would want to spend 7 hours in a hospital and then traveling from one hospital to the next if they're actually okay. So that part doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm not necessarily sure why she was cursing production out, but because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be running around in hotel slippers, especially out in the rain. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's a wild one to me. But let me know what your thoughts are on the cursing production out. Again, I do not like it. I do not like when people are just irate. Listen, if you're having it out with a producer about something that they want you to do that you don't want to do, that's one thing. But cursing people out to me is unacceptable if this is true. Again, all of these are allegations. So Courtney discussed Nene's comment that Kenya needs to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. She says, I think Courtney has had a long-standing role on the show, but you put in another strong personality in there, a Portia, then nobody's going to miss Kenya. Portia just seems like a fun, good-hearted person. This is an interesting one because it's interesting. It's always interesting when a newer housewife speaks on somebody who is already well known in the housewife space, who's been on the show before. But I will say that I tend to agree with this. The reason, Kenya and Portia have always had this interesting dynamic with each other. And I think that Kenya does need another strong personality to play against. And that person has to be likable, or that person has to have likable characteristics, or carry the same type of gravitas that Kenya has. And I would personally say that I think that Portia meets Kenya's level of gravitas because they are kind of polar opposites to a certain degree. But that's just me, and that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Then Courtney says, there's nothing authentic or real about Kenya. It may just be the amount of time that she's been on the show. She's honestly the meanest girl I've ever met, not just with me, with everybody. I'm like, get therapy. It's not good for the show. What are your thoughts about this? The authentic part or the real part, I just don't know if production is getting the real of Kenya's life at this point in time. But there has been accusations with Kenya of things that have been inauthentic. And I think Nene insinuated, but not quite outright said these things. But she kind of talked about, the people with the dating, there was that whole allegation about the whole Walter situation. Let's just be real. That kind of started the whole thing off with Kenya and the inauthentic comments. But I think that there are a lot of aspects of her that are absolutely great and real. So this is an interesting one. But I think what is also interesting is hearing a new person's perspective on a much beloved character on the show and explaining why she feels the way that she feels, because we don't necessarily get all of Courtney's perspective on the show. We get, doses and bits and pieces. And whether people really believe it or not, I really do think that Courtney met Kenya in that match. I do. And of course, there is the shady response from Queens of Bravo, which I always love. They always give us a nice little clip at the end. So let me know what you guys think about this. We have more news coming, so do not worry. It's a lot of stuff going on today. So remember also, Green Chef, get your discount. Discount code is in the description down below, and I will catch you all in the next video.